Hey, everybody, and welcome to the SRAX and LD Micro conference call. We appreciate you joining us today for the call. Chris and I are really excited to be here with you today to talk to you about our companies coming together and want to walk you through what we're doing, how we're doing it, and why we think that this transaction that we've done of SRAX coming together with LD Micro is beneficial for you as an investor and what we foresee for the company. Chris?
Chris, thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited to talk about our singular vision. I think what SRAX brings to us is one of the largest platforms in the world when it comes to small and micro cap names. And it's been a labor of love for almost the past 15 years for what LD has built for the micro cap community. And I look forward to expanding that relationship with you guys firsthand. And I think it would be prudent to just give a little brief overview of what LD Micro is. So for all those people who have only heard of us recently or, haven't had much conversation with us, the firm was essentially started back in 2006. And, one of the main focuses I had was to bring value in an area that really didn't have much. And for me as an investor, just going to conferences wasn't that much fun. Maybe with the exception of a few here and there, one in Dana Point, California, to be specific. But events for the most part suck. And I thought that given my relationships at the time and given the companies that we knew, we could do an event that was far superior than anything else that was out there. You fast forward 14 years later, and over 1,600 companies have essentially used our platforms to get the word out and to showcase to the investment community that of their existence. SRAX totally changes the game for us, though, because everyone knows that as time goes on, digital becomes more and more and more important. The ability to analyze information in real time, the ability to be able to talk to thousands of people within an instance. So when Chris approached me back in the early summer, I ultimately thought it was a no-brainer to take the best brand in the business with the largest platform. So with that, Chris, I appreciate you, taking a plunge with LD, and I look forward to the future.
We're excited about it as well. I mean, there's nobody that has the kind of relationships that Chris and his team have in the microcap space, and what you guys have accomplished is just quite frankly amazing. The event is seen as both physical and virtual events that you're doing are seen as the gold standard within the industry, and we look forward to taking that to the next step. And I know that you and I are going to have a blast working together to make this happen, and we're excited to have all of the team members from LD Micro coming over to SRAX and being on the team and helping us and take it to the next level.
Everything to me is ROI and overall experience. So, given the fact, given my culture, given the way that I was raised, everything is about making sure that that person feels warm and welcome. The events have that dynamic, which is why they cannot be replicated. We are very picky with who we let in. Regardless of whether you have a $50,000 account or you're worth 3 to 5 billion, makes no difference. So my take is I feel that the return on investment for the existing community that we have built, in this case, all these 1,600 companies, is far greater with SRAX in the mix. So if you look at us, I mean, when you look at the SKUs that we have sold historically, you essentially have company spots, you have a little bit of advertising on ldmicro.com, and you have sponsorships and of the like. Now, what we're bringing Sequire, which is not just value add twice a year or 3 times a year based off companies coming to our events, but every single day, every single week. So everything, Chris, that I've done, as an entrepreneur and as a professional of the financial services industry is about giving immediate return on investment for anyone that decides to basically do business with us. And I feel that in the weeks and months ahead, when people see that full combination at work, they're going to be blown away by the results.
And how many events have you guys done overall, Chris, in the last years?
Based off, if you add last week, 34, and imagine the way that I look at it is basically building sandcastles, or being a professional boxer. A professional boxer's record is great, okay, because it tells you what you've done in the past. It does not mean anything, though, for the next fight, the next event. So my mindset is that every single one is going to be my last. So the 34th was last week. From my understanding, it was the world's largest online investor conference. I think we had a little bit more than 360 names present. We're still in the early stages of getting all the numbers, and as soon as I get that, of course, we will showcase it to our community. But I'm very proud of what we were able to do in a 3-month time period. But I believe, and I think everyone here is also in agreement, that eventually we're going to get back to physical conferences. And if you look at the lay of the land every single year, we do 4 events, 2 really small ones and 2 big ones. So the big ones are June, the Invitational, and December, the main event. And the small ones are the Summit in San Francisco and the Big Apple event in New York, which you have been a part of over the years. And for all our listeners, the relationship that I have had with Chris dates back, I believe, to around 2012, 2013. This is one of those things where SRAX was a presenter. Okay, Chris and I became close. SRAX was one of our biggest sponsors last year, and now obviously the acquisition of our company. The way we see it is that LD is a wholly owned subsidiary of SRAX, and Chris and I are going to be in direct contact with one another. So this year, obviously, because of COVID, we do the one virtual event. I forgot that. We do 5 events. We do one virtual event in March. And the reason we do that is because our community has gotten so large that a lot of people can't go to physical conferences anymore because of someone in their family being sick or them being injured or a multitude of other reasons. So COVID kind of changed everything. We canceled the Invitational back in March. We did the 500 in lieu, and we're excited to showcase the main event shortly.
And what we're excited about is taking the platform that SRAX has built, and taking those million shareholders, million plus shareholders that are on the Sequire platform, and inviting them to virtual conferences. So even when you get back to the virtual conferences, those conferences will be limited to the people that are in the community that you have a good relationship with, that you've come to love over the years, because I know they have a relationship with you, and they really view LD Micro as their own community. They view that as a place that they can communicate with each other. And we look forward to bringing those shareholders outside of that community to a virtual community, even if the physical conference is taking place. So maybe there's 100 people in a room that you're presenting to at LD Micro, but there's 100,000 on a virtual conference that you are then presenting out to at the same time, all of whom we know are active investors in stocks, and people that we know that are investing in companies like the people that would come to LD Micro.
So there are 2 main reasons why I decided to join you guys, and there are 2 very big reasons. The first one is that even going back to that first event back in April of 2008, we never have had full control over everything that takes place at our conference from start to finish. So we have been using outside vendors for a lot of our capabilities, the important stuff, the one-on-ones, the registration, etc. You guys, SRAX, gives us the ability of having a great team customize everything that we need and truly nothing that we don't, so that it is an elegant, simple, and enhanced experience for our entire community. This has always been big because I don't want to rely on anyone outside of us to bring that true, that wonderful experience for everyone, whether it's in the physical form, in person, or online. The other thing is that you guys probably have one of the largest, if not the largest, true, legit existing base of microcap, small cap investors through your Sequire platform. And I believe that if you bring a great brand like LD that has a great reputation, that has a solid track record, that is already always honorable in its dealings and wants people to have a great time and get that value add, I truly believe that in the years to come, it is going to make a significant and positive impact for not just micro but small cap in general. So I'm honored. I'm honored to follow. To kind of do this dance with you guys, Chris, and take us to the next level. My basis is that what made LD special is going to be reflected, but this time on a much larger network.
And we're looking forward to taking that all of the digital assets that you have. So the ldmicro.com, the microcaps.com, the nanocaps.com, the virtualstockconference.com, and expanding on those assets and creating an environment for the shareholders where we can provide more data out to those shareholders, and then using our current technological infrastructure to expand upon the index itself, and at the same time making sure that nobody loses your weekly email, because everybody loves that. So you have to keep doing that. You can't stop.
It's tough when you have a kid in the background, and it's not easy. The weekend update, there's no question, it's arguably one of the most read things in microcap today. And it essentially started as an obituary service because people would die in our business and there would be no one to write or reflect on their life. So I felt that I wanted to use our stage for the better. But today it's my musings, and it gives you a week-long overview of the microcap world in terms of the biggest movers, the biggest winners, losers, etc., buyouts, you name it. But going back, I feel that we are underestimated when it comes to ldmicro.com, because I believe that it's the only pure data set out there in the world, Chris, where you can get a 2-minute overview of everything that's going on in your neighborhood and then go on to do other things. So ldmicro.com is extremely valuable, not just because we're the only guys providing indices, so biggest movers, biggest losers, most active volume, sector change, but the fact that we are the only live news feed in the entire microcap world under 300 million. So nobody else has that feature. We also do updated top news where it's just us looking, kind of scouring the world and talking about the big news stories of the day. And last but not least, it's a screener that actually works. So if there are people that are looking for something specific, they can use the screener to go from, in this case, universe to constellation to star. And I use it every day. That's the biggest part of all. I would never create anything that I won't indulge in. And then this is why Sequire to me is going to be a big deal in the coming future, because I can ultimately see executives use this all the time, because there is a value to knowing who owns your currency. From beginning back in November of 2002, that's kind of my start date as a professional, almost 20 years ago. No one has really there's all this dark matter out there. And there's like, is someone naked shorting us? Who truly owns our stock? Is there someone from the outside accumulating shares that we should know about? These are all things that are essentially hearsay or conjecture or guesstimations. You can't guess or predict stuff as important as knowing where your shares are. So that's what I'm very excited in, essentially going to the community that we have built and giving them that Steve Jobs, hey, one more thing. I think
Mhm.
that this is something that could be bring tremendous value add, and finally put all the guesswork to rest. So that's kind of
Yeah.
my involvement with what I think that you and I can do. It's letting more executives know about Sequire, and it's ultimately allowing the network effect to take hold of all the companies that have been supporting us in over the years. So instead of maybe 70 or 80 people on the call, that number goes up substantially because now we're going to real investors.
Now, one thing that, for those people that don't know what Sequire is, it's a platform that lets public issuers understand who is buying and selling their stock. We like to call it an operating system for publicly traded companies. It helps you manage everything that you need for the public company. You know who's buying and selling on a daily basis, the price at which they're buying and selling. You can see your institutional ownership. You can communicate with your shareholders by emailing them and manage all your warrants, your options. You can run proxies through the platform. There's lots of different things that you can do in the platform that has gotten Chris so excited to be able to put LD Micro and us together. And the fact that he has gotten, thousands of companies to participate in LD Micro in the past is, I think, just going to roll over to SRAX and to Sequire and make it so that those companies roll onto the SRAX platform. So, what do you think, Chris? What do you think we can do together in what do you think we could do together with Sequire? Like, if we were going to tell the investors, how many companies do we think that we can sign up on this platform?
As an investor, first and foremost, it's always hard to predict the future, but we can only discuss what we have done in the last few months. I believe that I've probably brought 7 or 8 companies to look at Sequire over the I want to say over the summer months, and the results already have been phenomenal. So everyone understands that there's an immediate value add from day one. Just being able to kind of map out things that you've never been able to see before. So what I usually tell executives is you don't use the yellow pages to find out what restaurant you want or who's going to be your next plumber. I don't think that you should use archaic technology to know who actually owns, who owns the position in your company. But my feel is this: every single company that we showcase to Chris is definitely going to be intrigued. Okay. And then it will take a little bit of time for them to see what type of flexibility the software brings them. And then I think eventually, and I stated this in our press release together, that we Sequire will be to public companies what Bloomberg is to investors. So people pay $2,000-3,000 a month to have access to their Bloomberg terminals because every single day, obviously, it's different in the stock market. I feel that that dynamic exists on the public company side, and already within the first 72 or 96 hours since announcing this deal, I've received over 1,700 email. I'm pretty confident that some of those are going to be companies that want to see demos, that want to be fully integrated with what you guys have built. But I will take it a step further. Okay, I'm going to announce 2 things that I haven't announced ever before on this call with you. One is I'm going to go from oboe to nobo in the weeks and months ahead, so that people can finally see what companies I own shares in. Okay, so I think that's a big development because over the years I've been relatively private with the companies that I've made investments in, and then the second thing is that all the companies that have been a part of our community over the years will have, let's just say, a few unique perks as a result of their support and friendship over that time. So my take is I want LD to essentially go from being the premier event to essentially being the premier platform that gives you full visibility of everything that is going on with the company. And we couldn't do that alone. Our network is only a few thousand people. It's very small. It's extremely tight knit, but in terms of overall universe, I'm just elated because you are going to show me something that I haven't seen before as well. But nothing internally at LD changes in the sense that we are a value add, and we're going to make sure that every single dollar you spend is going to be one that is of a huge benefit to that respective client.
Well, I'll go out there to say that if, you know, our goal would be to close somewhere between 100 and 200 companies on the platform by the end of 2021. I think that out of the almost 2,000 companies that have come through the LD world and are in the LD community, that we could close probably 1 to 200 of those. And I think that that is a realistic goal to accomplish for the LD piece while our existing sales team continues to go out there.
I'm confident with that number, Chris, but you know me, ever since I was 14, 15 years old and just trying to make a living, I look at everything on a singular basis. So for me, my first goal right now is to talk to all 350 or 360 companies that came last week, because some people had a great experience, and then some people had technical difficulties. The thing that distinguishes LD from the rest is that I want to know truly how you feel, and if there's something wrong, I will be able to fix it. So with every single company that I go to, and remember, I mean, I've had relationships that date back to 2001, 2002. They know that I have their best interest. So regardless of what their decision ultimately is, I want them to see what we're capable of doing. And just like me selling used books at Santa Monica College on a one-to-one basis, or me selling spots at a conference, my mindset does not change, even with SRAX and Sequire. Every single company is different. They have different dynamics at work, and we're going to kind of go through it and see if we can be a value add truly to them.
Well, we started the platform around 2 years ago, and we've gotten 100 companies to join the platforms thus far, which really took off this year. And I think that with your connections and the relationships that you have within the community and the trust that you have within the community, I think we're going to do a fantastic job together with that. And we look forward to helping build the conference platform with you. We're well along the way on that, and your input is going to be instrumental in getting getting that perfected. And I also think that LD brings a significant amount of credibility inside the investor community, and that the investors that are coming to LD are going to take a look at SRAX and take a hard look at what we're doing over here. And also on the research side, I think that that will definitely, maybe get us a little bit more attention. So your relationships in that area, I think, are going to be very pivotal for the company here. I think one thing that would go ahead. Sorry, Chris. Go ahead.
Oh no, I'm very. I mean, Chris, it nothing has really changed since day one. I was very fortunate early in my career. There was a gentleman by the name of Leonardo Zangani who used to run an IR firm, and he was one of these old school Italians. And he said something to me, as well as Ian Castle, who has become one of the most well-known, well-respected guys in the microcap world in his own right. He said that there are only two things that money cannot buy: your name and reputation. So our take is, internally at LD, I'm going to be working very hard alongside your team to make sure that we have a simple, elegant solution for all our investors, regardless of whether you have great comfort with the computer or someone like my parents who dreads turning anything on, let alone a microwave. So I think that's key. On the Sequire side, again, in my opinion, 95% of the world, the microcap world that we're in, doesn't even know Sequire exists. So out of those 7 or 8 companies that I showed you, more than half of them had no idea what it was. Okay. So I think that it's going to be very important between now and next year to essentially just do demos. And I'm confident with the results, whatever they may be. But again, I feel that we're in the early innings of creating a true powerhouse, but something that everyone can feel comfort with, and something that people can use to their advantage each and every day.
And let me, just so that the people that are on the call understand the value of each company. Each company that comes in generates around $2,000 a month in recurring revenue average. And around 30% of our customers also come to us and spend an average of around $200,000 a year on media targeting their investors and additional investors. So if we can hit our goal of getting somewhere between 100 and 200 companies on the SaaS side that would generate an additional 2.4 to 4.8 million dollars in SaaS revenue for the business, and another $6 million to $12 million in media for the business. So, and up to this date, SRAX has started a few different brands, and we started a SRAX MD, which is focused on medical doctors. We sold that business. We still own 30% of it. And we have a preferred piece of paper in that business that's worth around $12 million at this point and accumulates PIK interest at 8% a year. Then we have Big Token, which is a product that allows consumers to own their own data. And we're looking for a strategic alternative for that business so that everything that is inside SRAX will be 100% focused around investor data and an investor community and issuers and everything that the issuers are doing. So we look forward to taking this to the next level with Chris and his team, and we couldn't be more excited. We think that the transaction is very, very accretive for both of us.
And just to mention, in terms of LD and our financial makeup, we've been profitable since day one. So, from day one, I started LD with essentially $1,000, and our first deal was a $10,000 sponsorship. So if Shai is listening, thank you, Mr. Stern at Vintage Filings. But over the years, it has grown exponentially, and we have been. Look, everything that I do is from the mindset of an investor first and foremost. So for me, running LD is no different than me investing in a micro cap or small cap. The bottom line has to be there. So I'm very proud to say that even in an environment like this, where we can't physically have conferences anytime soon, the company is still significantly free cash flow positive and still profitable. Again, it goes back to that brand, that trust, that reputation, and that platform, which SRAX now has increased 100-fold. And look, my take is some people are going to get this quickly, and some people it's going to take a long time. We are here for the ride whenever they want to, hop on that SRAX bus.
All right, Chris. Well, I appreciate the time today, and thanks everybody for listening to our story today. We really appreciate it.
Thanks, guys, and I'm going to get back to work.
Thank you.